The American Civil War was a defining chapter in the history of the United States. It was a terrible conflict that tore the nation apart, pitting brother against brother and neighbor against neighbor. This war took place from 1861 to 1865, a period of 4 long and bloody years. The fighting raged across the vast landscapes of the country, from the farmlands of Pennsylvania to the bayous of Louisiana. It was a war fought not against a foreign enemy, but within the heart of America itself. The United States, a young and promising nation, suddenly found itself on the brink of self-destruction, its very survival hanging precariously in the balance. The roots of this great conflict were deep and complex, growing for decades before the first shots were fired. The most significant cause, the one that overshadowed all others, was the institution of human slavery. In the southern states, the economy was heavily dependent on the labor of enslaved African Americans, who worked on large plantations growing crops like cotton and tobacco. The northern states, on the other hand, had largely abolished slavery and were becoming more industrialized. This fundamental difference in economic and social systems created a profound moral and political divide that seemed impossible to bridge through peaceful compromise. This deep division was further complicated by the fierce debate over states' rights versus the power of the federal government. Many in the South believed that individual states should have the ultimate authority to make their own laws, including laws that protected the institution of slavery. They argued that the federal government in Washington, D.C. had no right to interfere with their way of life. This belief in state sovereignty was a powerful force, leading Southern leaders to feel that their rights were being threatened by the growing anti-slavery sentiment in the North. The tension grew with each passing year, like a gathering storm. The final catalyst came with the presidential election of 1860. The victory of Abraham Lincoln, a candidate from the newly formed Republican Party, was seen as a grave threat by the Southern states. Lincoln and his party were firmly opposed to the expansion of slavery into the Western territories. Though Lincoln promised not to interfere with slavery where it already existed, his election was perceived by the South as a clear signal that their political power and their entire social structure were in jeopardy. In response, 7 Southern states, led by South Carolina, decided to leave the Union, an act known as secession, even before Lincoln officially took office. Following the secession of the initial 7 states, 4 more would soon join them to form a new nation. They called themselves the Confederate States of America, or simply the Confederacy. They established their own government, wrote their own constitution which explicitly protected slavery, and elected their own president, a man named Jefferson Davis. Davis was a former United States Senator from Mississippi, and a